Hello, good evening. Welcome to Live Irish Myths at the very slightly later than usual time. Supposedly 8 p.m. It's 8:10 p.m. here in the Boyne Valley. Hope you're all keeping well. I am Anthony Murphy, your host. This is episode number 329. Tonight we are returning to W.B. Yeats's The Celtic Twilight. But before we do that, of course, we'll be saying hello to you. If you're watching, that's whether on the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel or the Mythical Ireland Facebook page, please do join in the conversation by commenting, and we will make you as welcome as possible. And people are very friendly in this community, as you will find, and they're sure to give you a Céad Míle Fáilte. It is cloudy, overcast, windy, cool in the Boyne Valley as a very big band of heavy rain comes our way. We were very lucky today for the Mythical Ireland and Monumental Ireland joint tour of the Hill of Uisneach at 12 noon today, where a lovely group of about 50 people gathered to hear Simon Chute and I tell them all about the history, archaeology, mythology, and cosmology of that wonderful site. Now, if you're thinking, oh, damn, I missed that, and maybe you couldn't make it, or maybe you hadn't seen it advertised, well, don't worry. Keep your ears and eyes peeled for a forthcoming joint tour again with myself and Simon. Of course, if you're looking for information about Mythical Ireland public tours, look no further than the Mythical Ireland website. That's mythicalireland.com. And if you go to the tours page, you will see future tours bookable there. The next tour on our calendar is the Newgrange Farm Archaeological Park and Newgrange Chamber Tour, which is tomorrow week. That's Tuesday, the 10th of June. Looking forward to seeing as many of you there as possible. That tour is on twice a month during the summer months. It was on twice in May, twice in June, twice in July, and twice in August. So again, plenty of tickets available, especially for the July and August dates. So if you're interested, please do book there. And more generally, if you're interested in Mythical Ireland tours, one of the things you can do is to subscribe to the Mythical Ireland emails. That is free to subscribe to. Again, that's on the Mythical Ireland website, mythicalireland.com. mythicalireland.ie will also work, but I'll take you directly to a link. I'll share a link where you can go directly and sign up for the email newsletter. And again, an important starting place if you're looking for information about future tours, and of course lots of other things, information about articles and information about new podcasts and all the stuff that's going on over on Patreon. If you want to support Mythical Ireland and get your eyes and hands on the juicy stuff, you can subscribe to become a paying patron at patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. That address is scrolling on the ticker tape at the bottom of the screen constantly throughout all our live streams. It is time for me to say hello to some people. First to comment this evening is Sir Michael Pike, who is a Mythical Ireland patron. A very good evening to you, Michael. Good afternoon to you. Glad that you can join us. And he is saying, hello, Anthony and the mighty to, well, it's always a pleasure, of course, to welcome Mike or Michael. Let's just call him a good friend of Mythical Ireland. Sorry, I'm just trying to do something here. Apologies while I mess around. Well, I'm not really messing around per se. I'm just trying to create a little bit more light, actually, is what I'm doing. Forgive me. Now, get your act together, Anthony. Thanks, Michael. Margaret Hughes is watching on YouTube. A very good evening to you, Margaret. Hope it's not too wet and windy where you are. Johnny Wilson says a very big hello from wet Dallas, where it's 30 degrees. Well, it's going to be wet here shortly. The rain is just starting to fall. We cannot boast 30 Celsius, though. Let me tell you what the temperature is right now at Dublin Airport, which is a mere 20 miles down the road from us here in Drogheda. Great and fine city of Drogheda, the gateway to the ancient Boyne Valley. 13. Yeah, it's a bit warmer over there, Johnny. I'm not sure which one I'd prefer, to be honest. I think 30 would be probably a tad too warm for me. Kieran Byrne says, good evening. Hello, Kieran. Welcome to Live Irish Myths. Rex Fortenberry says, greetings all. Thought we might get a postponed notice seeing how busy Anthony was today, but we're here. Woohoo! Myth on. Yeah. And I just had a late dinner because, I was away in Uisneach, and as I say, a lovely day with a lovely group of people, some of whom I knew, some of whom were on previous Mythical Ireland tours, one or two who are on recent Newgrange Farm tours, and it's great to see faces old and new, and young and old as well, and a healthy mixture of male and female. So when we were going down to Isle na Mirren, the Stone of Divisions, Simon Chute was telling us the tradition was that the women went first and gave the men permission to enter the sacred area around the stone. And that's what we did. We allowed the women, wow. We asked the ladies if it would be okay for them to go down first. And then when we arrived, we asked for permission to enter, and they duly granted it. Well, at least one of them did. And that was good enough for us. Yes. Rex, I hope it's not too hot and sticky over there, because I know it can get, shall we say, a little bit uncomfortable in that area. And of course, Rex is also a Mythical Ireland patron. Thank you very much for your support, Rex. Lily Shambles says, evening, hope all are well, and thanks for letting us know you were going to be late tonight. I actually saw it today instead of in 3 days' time for a change. Well, good. So I posted on the Mythical Ireland page on Facebook, but also you can just post a text post on YouTube. You don't actually have to post a video. So I just decided to do that just to let you all know, which is great. Elaine Dentling and Felter says hello from a cold, wet, rainy County Mayo. Yeah, you're probably getting the brunt of it over there, Elaine. But, you're being a seasoned traveller and having been in Ireland many times in the past, you know all this, and I'm sure you came prepared with enough changes of clothing for basically to account for all weather. Adina Sparks is saying, afternoon, Anthony and the two. It's a cool 72. What is 72 in 72 F to C is 22. You call that cool? Wow. You've 9 degrees on us, Adina. But that is probably cool for New Mexico, in fairness. Cloudy, but no rain yet. Hope everyone is well. I can't complain, certainly. Can't speak for everyone else, but they all seem to be good form so far. Margaret is saying hello to Lily. Joe Butler, Auntie Joe, is saying hello from Colorado. Overcast and rain due later tonight. Well, sounds very familiar. Overcast and rain, heavy rain due any moment here in Drogheda. I hope all of my friends are well. Brilliant stuff, Joe. And of course, same to you. We are hoping that you are in good form. And I'm just going to mention them all, if they don't mind. Joe Butler is also a Mythical Ireland patron. Thank you for your support. Alan Hoskins, who is, I hope, has been busy testing out that flashy new bridge across the Shannon at between Ballina and Killaloe, where he lives. The Brian Boru Bridge. Hi, Anthony. Hi, everyone. Greetings from a now ridiculously wet, blustery Ballina, Killaloe. The cuddly weather has departed. Hope you're keeping well and enjoying Mythflix. Well, of course, me being the host, I get to enjoy it. And also to say that Alan Hoskins is a Mythical Ireland patron. Thank you for your support, Alan. Simon Chute, he didn't get enough of me today. Although, in fairness, during our tour of Uisneach today, I'm pretty sure I didn't drop in any of my witty and hilariously funny dad jokes. Managed to avoid doing that today. I hope that was to the benefit of the assembly. Simon, a great pleasure. Lovely day, and I think we called it right, or you called it right. We got the time right. We got the tour done while the sun was still shining and before the rain, which is now just about to fall on us. I think it's probably coming down heavily at Uisneach right now. Carl Thacker is saying hello from Iowa in the US. Hello, Carl. A very good afternoon to you from all of us on this side of the Atlantic, and of course from all of the people watching from different parts of the world. You're very welcome. I hope you enjoy the episode. Tuesday Thompson is wishing us all a happy Mythology Monday. Did you ever think of changing your name to Monday so we could... No, never mind. But it does work occasionally, doesn't it? Because we have to postpone to Tuesday sometimes. Monica Regley is wishing us all a good evening. I presume that's a typo. Where is the G and the V? Yes, they are fairly close on the keyboard. That's completely understandable. Monica, are you here? Or are you at home? Or where are you? You're very, very well traveled, regularly calling in from various parts of Europe. Anyway, it's a great pleasure to welcome you, as always. Anne McCallum, who is another Mythical Ireland patron, is saying hello. Hope everyone's in good form and enjoying some lovely weather. We've had some cool, windy weather the past few days. Well, we're getting that right now. But today it's sunny and 25 Celsius. Supposedly increasing daily to 30 Celsius on Wednesday. Looking forward to story time as always. Wow, that's that's impressive. That's a lot hotter than we would expect it to be here at this time of year. Anyway, thanks, Anne, and of course Anne is in Ontario. Desiree Riley is saying hello. Me and Amadeus are happy to be able to tune in live today. Brilliant stuff. Hope all the two are well. Hello, Amadeus. Here, boy. Where is Coda? You'll probably hear him before too long. And Saskia was letting us know for about 10 minutes. I'll silence my phone so that it doesn't keep making sounds all the way through our live stream. Should have done that before we started, but I was busy eating my dinner. Great stuff. Desiree, glad that you can tune in for the whole episode this week. Excellent. Amanda June Haggerty is saying it's a gorgeous sunny day here in Washington State. You would never know the rain was coming down in sheets yesterday. We had that. What day was it? What day were we? We were up in Hillsborough in outside Belfast on Saturday, and the rain was teeming down on the way up on the motorway. Everyone had to slow down because of the visibility was poor. And later that day, it was sunny and the ground was dry. So yeah, last time in Switzerland for more than 2 months. See what I mean? Where are you off to now? Monica, brilliant. And come here, listen. Don't mind me. Okay, where else am I? Leslie O'Neill. Hi, Anthony. Thanks for a wonderful tour of Uisneach today. You and Simon make a great team, and I thoroughly enjoyed the day. Leslie in Bettystown. Thank you, Leslie. It was a great pleasure to meet you again on another Mythical Ireland tour. Glad to hear that you're home safely, especially in and under the roof in the dry just before the rain comes bucketing down in sheets. And yeah, a lovely group today. Really enjoyed all the interactions, the conversation before, during, and after. Great to see so many faces, familiar and unfamiliar. Francis says, you caught the sun today. I certainly did. And what I forgot to do getting out of the van, of course I was hungry, so I thought about the snack food that was in the bag. I forgot to apply the sun cream, which I was supposed to do before the tour began. Anyway, thank you, Francis, for your wonderful hospitality. And just to say, a great thanks to yourself for organising the weather. You certainly have a direct line to the... well, I always say Dagda was the weather god of the Tuatha Dé Danann. So you and the Dagda must be, fairly close. And thank you for that. And Leslie comments on that. P.S. Bonus points for no rain. Yes, indeed. Rocio Mariana Lopez is saying, hi, Mr. Anthony. Oh, that sounds very official, doesn't it? Mr. Anthony. I insist on being called Sir. If you're going to be like really official, call me Sir Anthony. It's a long-running joke in my family. They refer to me as Sir Anthony Drone Henge Murphy. I'm only joking, of course, Rothio. I'm currently at the coast of Cancun, Mexico, with my mum. 32, and good news, I'll be able to visit Ireland, after all, for the first time. So we'll probably be taking your tour. I'm almost crying of happiness. Brilliant stuff. That is fantastic, Rothio, and I look forward to seeing you on a tour. And, we'll do the old selfie and share it to the Mythical Ireland community. and they can all look in jealously because they're not on the tour, brilliant. Sunny and 30 Celsius now, storms this evening, says Carl. It sounds like sort of convection or rainfall, doesn't it? Hot weather that leads to towering cumulonimbus. That sounds very fancy. Big thunder clouds, basically. Mavanway Millward is saying, good evening from mid Wales. Beautiful sunny day today. Connection isn't too great. So if I'm quiet, that's why. Mavanway, you're always quiet. You don't strike me as the outspoken type. But great. And the rain, which is currently just starting here, I can hear it actually now on the Velux windows, is probably a few hours away. It'll probably be in the hours of darkness before it reaches you, and hopefully it'll have cleared off by the time you wake up again tomorrow morning. Of course, that is assuming that you sleep regular hours like the rest of us, but that's not always. Francis called it right, says Simon. Well, credit where it's due, She knows her stuff, I wonder if she could time all my tours to make sure they take place in sunny weather. Alan is saying the Brian Boru Bridge is a really wonderful addition. It's really made a difference to the Twin Towns. Brilliant stuff, Alan. Genuinely delighted to hear that. Looking forward to seeing it, hopefully someday soon. B. Jordan is saying, hi, everyone. Is that Barb? Hello, Barb, if that's you. If it's not, hello, B. You're very welcome. I will leave tomorrow morning, says Monica, for Poland and the Baltics for 10 weeks. Oh, nice. I hope you will be able to tune in on Mondays for our live streams. I hope that you have Wi-Fi wherever you're going in the various places in Poland and the Baltics. Excellent stuff. Right time of the year, by the way, for the Baltics. You know that the celebration of summer solstice is a huge thing in Latvia anyway. And we are now less than 3 weeks from the Northern Hemisphere's longest day of the year. Let's not talk about what happens after that and the days getting shorter and all that. Let's just be happy that we're in the longest days of the year. Tom Duffy is saying, hi from the US. I'm curious to see if you have any thoughts on the series of books by Graham Hancock. I couldn't say much about that, Tom, without opening a gigantic can of worms, except to say in my early years of research, I was a big fan, particularly of Heaven's Mirror and not Fingerprints. Oh, Fingerprints of the Gods, yeah. I find in recent years he's far too anti-archaeologist for my liking. It is entirely possible that it's entirely possible to have theories and to write without castigating and demonizing every archaeologist that is currently alive and breathing. And I think that's probably all I'll say about that, to be honest with you. He has some interesting ideas and theories, but I think they suffer from his paranoia about scholars. Tuesday says, I will definitely not be changing my name to Monday. I will happily enjoy the occasions that the live stream is Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. That's perfectly okay, and I wouldn't expect anything else. That sure did make Amadeus happy, Desiree says. Brilliant stuff. I'm delighted to hear it. Pity I can't offer him a treat through the screen, but if I offer him a treat, maybe you could actually go and get him one there and give it to him and say that's from Anthony. Paula Gervin is saying hello from Canada. Good afternoon to you, Paula. Thanks for joining us. You're very welcome to Live Irish Myths. I'm not sure, but I think this is your first time. You're very welcome. Hope you enjoy the reading and the friendship and companionship of our lovely group. Debbie Sheehy is saying, good evening, everyone from Dublin. The strong winds have arrived, though this evening's episode may be postponed. So I may not be able to stay for it all, but looking forward to tune in for a while. Well, we're always glad to see you, Debbie. And yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, everybody, especially the newcomers, if you can't stay for the whole episode or you can't just make it full stop, as soon as it's finished, it will be available as a video to view back on YouTube and on Facebook. The only thing about Facebook is they're deleting old live streams now. So probably the best place to go is the YouTube channel. Sir Anthony, it is, of course, says Dorothy. I was only joking now, and I'll have none of that. Samantha Healy, or be getting ideas above my station, says, hello, Anthony, Tom, and all the two. Well, I haven't seen Tom, so I'm not sure if he's here. I know he's been horribly busy lately with all his tours. Is it the dog I have to thank for my luck with the weather? I've always had a knack for that too. Yeah, the dog who built Newgrange, by the way, Sheedan Broga, was said to have controlled the weather and the harvest. Quite breezy with that rain. Yeah, I noticed that the wind has been whipping up. So we've got wind, rain, cloud, and it's cooler than I'd like it to be at this time of year, to be honest. Yes, it's me. Hi, Anthony. Just trying out YouTube. You will find, I think, Barb, that YouTube works better than Facebook. That's what anybody who watches the live stream says. It tends to be better on YouTube than on, more reliable, as it were. Monica Regley says, not sure about Wi-Fi. Yes, and we tried to join a summer solstice celebration either in Latvia or Estonia. Brilliant stuff. You might take some pictures and share them and share a post about it on the Mythical Ireland community. I think people would be interested in that. Vicky Wallace-Southall has joined us saying, hello, my friends. Hello, Vicky. And to Evan and Chili, if you're watching, a big hello, lots of love and hugs from the Boyne Valley here in Ireland. Desiree just went to get Amadeus a treat from his uncle, Anthony Murphy, the uncle that you never knew you had. You know that guy on the screen every week that sometimes calls your name, and where there are other dogs barking and yelping and generally looking for attention. Anyway, I think I've caught up with the comments. So I'm not sure there are any further announcements. Just to say, the long-promised podcast that I've been working on scripting is still not finished. So I apologize to Mythical Ireland patrons who are waiting for that. Just to say, I have begun the process of uploading historical, like the old podcasts that were recorded some time ago, to Spotify. Mythical Ireland is now on Spotify. So, and I'll try to do it on iTunes as well. But the way the podcasts are going to work, I'm going to do those regularly. I'm going to try and do maybe 2 a month. That's the hope. They are going to be available first and foremost to Mythical Ireland patrons at the Stone Age level and above. Actually, initially the Bronze Age level and above. So if you are a patron at the Bronze Age level, basically you will hear the podcasts before anyone else, several weeks before them. So that, I think, hopefully will give people a good impetus, a good motive to go and sign up for the Bronze Age level patronage. Barbara Murphy is saying, hi, everyone, in a little late, hope. Working outside as it's cool. As it's cool today. Rained yesterday and this morning. Yeah, and Barbara, you are a patron as well, I think, aren't you? Because I'm trying to say hello to all the patrons this evening. Alan reports that YouTube is streets ahead of Facebook. Barbara, we're getting the rain now. It's just started in the last 10 or 20 minutes. It's expected to be quite heavy this evening. But anyway, I was just saying that myself and Simon Chute of Monumental Ireland had a joint tour of Uisneach today. And the weather was great because it kept dry and the sun was coming in and out. And yeah, not too bad. I'll try to send you pictures, Anthony, of a celebration or of the meteorite site in Estonia. Oh, wow. Sounds fab. Brilliant stuff, Monica. We are continuing with The Celtic Twilight, Myth, Fantasy and Folklore by the late, great W.B. Yeats, who was famous for his poetry, but whose role in the collection and publication of Irish folklore is perhaps a little bit understated. So anyway, credit where it's due. We've been reading his short stories, which he reported, if you remember, in our first episode, not episode number 1, but episode number 322 or whatever it was, The Celtic Twilight. The first episode we were reading, you'll remember that we said that he mostly collected these stories from just talking to ordinary people around about, mostly in his local landscape in and around Sligo. Lily Shambles wants to know, did I say hello to, as my son came in to talk to me when I did, but come here, hello again. Lily Shambles, welcome to the live. I think I did anyway. So missed it if you did. Sorry. Yeah, come here. Listen, that's okay. Listen, I can't expect people to put their lives on hold just because I'm talking about Irish mythology. It was different in 2020. Everybody was locked down. There was a pandemic. We didn't know what the future held. And Live Irish Myths was a nice distraction for all of us from all of that. But come here, it's 2025 now, and life has, for a lot of people, returned to normal. So that's only to be expected, and there's absolutely no need to apologise. And just to reiterate again, if you want to see, if you happen to miss part of an episode because you're out and about, or you had to take a phone call, or you needed to go to the toilet, that's perfectly okay. But if you miss a significant portion of it, you can watch it back afterwards. Lily says, I meant Patreon one. Are you a patron? And forgive me for having to ask, because I cannot find you under Lily Shambles. So maybe that's why I didn't mention it, Lily. The Golden Age. This is a short one. There's a mixture. It's a funny thing. Some of these are less than a page long, and some are like 5 or 6 pages. They just vary according to how much information. Mr. Yeats was in a position to recall, and we've already seen how, on occasion, he was recalling information that had been relayed to him several years before, and where in an instance where he maybe hadn't taken detailed notes. Get well quickly. Oh, who's sick? Get well quickly. Yes to patron, no to this name. Okay, I didn't make that connection, so apologies. But Lily Shambles, folks, is also a patron. So you know what to do. Sign up, support, and get your eyes on and ears on stuff well ahead of everyone else. Oh, I see it now. Evan and I are sharing a head cold. Hot whiskey. Not for Evan, of course. I mean, just for you. Lemon. All the usual things. People try to be nice, when they hear that someone's sick, and recommend all sorts of things. You probably know what to do. But anyway, hopefully it doesn't get you down too much. Amanda says, going to the toilet doesn't interrupt Mythic Monday for me. I have you on the TV and the volume turned up. I can hear what's going on anywhere in the house. Wow. Well, it's great to hear. Yeah, good. The Golden Age. Michael Pike, thank you. A while ago, I was in the train and getting near Sligo. The last time I'd been there, something was troubling me, and I had longed for a message from those beings or bodiless moods or whatever they be who inhabit the world of spirits. The message came, for one night I saw with blinding distinctiveness a black animal, half weasel, half dog, moving along the top of a stone wall, and presently the black animal vanished. And from the other side came a white, weasel-like dog, his pink flesh shining through his white hair, and all in a blaze of light. I did. Mavanwe is also a patron. I apologize, Mavanwe. And this is where I hate when I do that. I name people and I leave someone out. I'm terribly sorry. Yes, indeed, Mavanwe Millward is also a Mythical Ireland patron. Thank you very much, Mavanwe, for your support, which is much appreciated. Lily tells us the computer says the temperature's dropped two degrees in the last half hour. Yeah, it's dropping here because you see we've no more sun. It's just wall-to-wall grey cloud right now. And I remembered a peasant belief about two fairy dogs who go about representing day and night, good and evil, and was comforted by the excellent omen. But now I longed for a message of another kind, and chance, if chance there is, brought it. For a man got into the carriage and began to play on a fiddle made apparently of an old blacking box. And though I am quite unmusical, the sounds filled me with the strangest emotions. Now, I don't know what a blacking box is. bearing in mind that this was written at the turn of the 20th century, around the late 1800s, the early 1900s. I don't know what he is referring to, so you'll have to forgive me on that one. Perhaps some of you may be able to fill in the gaps and tell us what he's referring to. I seemed to hear a voice of lamentation out of the golden age. It told me that we are imperfect, incomplete, and no more like a beautiful woven web, but like a bundle of cords knotted together and flung into a corner. It said that the world was once all perfect and kindly, and that still the kindly and perfect world existed, but buried like a mass of roses under many spadefuls of earth. The fairies and the more innocent of the spirits dwelt within it, and lamented over our fallen world in the lamentation of the wind-tossed reeds, in the song of the birds, in the moan of the waves, and in the sweet cry of the fiddle. It said that with us the beautiful are not clever, and the clever are not beautiful, and that the best of our moments are marred by a little vulgarity, or by a pinprick out of sad recollection, and that the fiddle must ever lament about it all. It said that if only they who live in the golden age could die, we might be happy, for the sad voices would be still. But alas, alas, they must sing, and we must weep, until the eternal gates swing open. We were now getting into the big glass-roofed terminus, and the fiddler put away his old blacking box and held out his hat for a copper, and then opened the door and was gone. Lovely. Oh, this one has a slightly more long-winded title. Amanda June tells us, I think my father-in-law was inspired by Yeats. He earned his PhD in literature at Trinity College. He had a habit of interviewing all of his relatives and recording their stories. It's a treasure. Wow, it surely is a treasure. I wonder, has it ever been published, Amanda? Because it could be very valuable to folklorists. Blacking box, says Michael Pike, has to do with shoe polish. Aha, I see. Wow. It's a funny one, you know. I can't imagine there were too many people wearing fancy shoes. Too many of the Irish, I keep using this word because it's the word that Yeats would often use, peasantry. I can't imagine there were too many in the Irish peasantry who even had shoes, never mind nice shoes. But anyway, yeah, there you go, Alan Hoskins. As I understand it, a blacking box was a box to store shoe polish. Ah, brilliant. So I am educated. You see, every day is a learning day. Brilliant stuff. This one is called A Remonstrance with Scotsmen for Having Soured the Disposition of Their Ghosts and Fairies. Wow. I'm sure the verbose Mr. Yeats could have come up with a shorter title, but sure, why say something in 3 words when you can say it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? I ask you. Not only in Ireland is fairy belief still extant. It was only the other day I heard of a Scottish farmer who believed that the lake in front of his house was haunted by a water horse. He was afraid of it and dragged the lake with nets and then tried to pump it empty. Not a good idea. It would have been a bad thing for the water horse had he found him. An Irish peasant would have long since come to terms with the creature. And do as we advise people to do in Ireland. You know, when you are risking disaster or risking ill fortune, leave well enough alone. I'm not sure if you say that in other parts of the world. We certainly say it here. Leave well enough alone. In other words, don't disturb it. And yes, do as is done here. Come to terms with it. Desira, I've been saying the F word because the F word is pretty much on every page of this book for at least the last 6 episodes. So come here, listen. It's just become par for the course now. Who needs shoes, says Lily. Just put the polish on your feet and I'm sure most won't notice. Yeah. Shoe polish, certainly for only a certain kind of people, not for the poor. Correct and right. For in Ireland there is something of timid affection between men and spirits. They only ill treat each other in reason. Each admits the other side to have feelings. There are points beyond which neither will go. No Irish peasant would treat a captured fairy as did the man Campbell tells of. He caught a kelpie and tied her behind him on his horse. Another very bad idea. She was fierce, but he kept her quiet by driving an awl and a needle into her. Definitely not a good idea. They came to a river, and she grew very restless, fearing to cross the water. Again, he drove the awl and needle into her. She cried out, "Pierce me with the awl, but keep that slender hair-like slave, the needle, out of me." I would have said, "Would you feck off and keep both of them out of me?" You know. They came to an inn. He turned the light of a lantern on her. Immediately, she dropped down like a falling star and changed into a lump of jelly. She was dead. Nor would they treat the fairies as one is treated in an old Highland poem. A fairy loved a little child who used to cut turf at the side of a fairy hill. Every day the fairy put out his hand from the hill with an enchanted knife. The child used to cut the turf with the knife. It did not take long, the knife being charmed. Her brothers wondered why she was done so quickly. At last they resolved to watch and find out who helped her. They saw the small hand come out of the earth and the little child take from it the knife. When the turf was all cut, they saw her make 3 taps on the ground with the handle. The small hand came out of the hill. Snatching the knife from the child, they cut the hand off with a blow. The fairy was never again seen. He drew his bleeding arm into the earth, thinking, as it is recorded, he had lost his hand through the treachery of the child. In Scotland, you are too theological, too gloomy. You have made even the devil religious. Quote, "Where do you live, good wife, and how is the minister?" Unquote, he said to the witch when he met her on the high road, as it came out in the trial. You have burnt all the witches. In Ireland, we have left them alone. To be sure, the loyal minority knocked out the eye of one with a cabbage stump on the 31st of March 1711 in the town of Carrickfergus. But then the loyal minority is half Scottish. You have discovered the fairies to be pagan and wicked. You would like to have them all up before the magistrate. In Ireland, warlike mortals have gone amongst them and helped them in their battles, and they in turn have taught men great skill with herbs, or as we sometimes like to pronounce it, with herbs, and permitted some few to hear their tunes. Carolan, I think he's referring to the famous blind harper, slept upon a fairy rath, even after their tunes ran in his head and made him the great musician he was. In Scotland, you have denounced them from the pulpit. In Ireland, they have been permitted by the priests to consult them on the state of their souls. Unhappily, the priests have decided that they have no souls, that they will dry up like so much bright vapour at the last day. But more in sadness than in anger have they said it. The Catholic religion likes to keep on good terms with its neighbours. These two different ways of looking at things have influenced in each country the whole world of sprites and goblins. For their gay and graceful doings, you must go to Ireland. For their deeds of terror, to Scotland. That's fascinating, isn't it? So what he's basically saying is that the church the church in Ireland, as in the Catholic Church, did not condemn the fairies as something pagan and evil, and kept on good terms with them. Wow. These two different ways of looking at things have influenced in each country the whole world of sprites and goblins. For their gay and graceful doings, you must go to Ireland. For their deeds of terror, to Scotland. Our Irish fairy terrors have about them something of make-believe. When a peasant strays into an enchanted hovel and is made to turn a corpse all night on a spit before the fire, we do not feel anxious. We know he will wake in the midst of a green field, the dew on his old coat. In Scotland, it is altogether different. You have soured the naturally excellent disposition of ghosts and goblins. The piper Maccrimmon of the Hebrides shouldered his pipes and marched into a sea cavern, playing loudly and followed by his dog. For a long time, the people could hear the pipes. He must have gone nearly a mile when they heard the sound of a struggle. Then the piping ceased suddenly. Some time went by, and then his dog came out of the cavern, completely flayed, too weak even to howl. Nothing else ever came out of the cavern. Then there's the tale of the man who dived into a lake where treasure was thought to be. He saw a great coffer of iron. Close to the coffer lay a monster who warned him to return whence he came. By the way, folks, you may know this, you may not. I know that I mentioned it. I can't remember which episodes, but it could be a long time ago now. Remember, we've been live streaming on and off for 5 years. The idea of treasure in water guarded by a monster is a recurrent theme in world mythology. He rose to the surface, but the bystanders, when they heard he had seen the treasure, persuaded him to dive again. As you do. He dived. In a little while, his heart and liver floated up, reddening the water. No man ever saw the rest of his body. Well, he was warned, was he? Wasn't he? The monster said, "Return whence you came." I think that's fair enough. Go away and don't come back. But he came back. And, well, the rest, as they say, is history. These water goblins, or the rest, as they say, is folklore. These water goblins and water monsters are common in Scottish folklore. We have them too, but take them much less dreadfully, except for the Mata, which was so fearsome that it was hacked into pieces at Newgrange and thrown into the River Boyne. Our tales turn all their doings to favour and to prettiness, to prettiness or hopelessly humorise the creatures. A hole in the Sligo River is haunted by one of these monsters. He is ardently believed in by many, but that does not prevent the peasantry playing with the subject and surrounding it with conscious fantasies. When I was a small boy, I fished one day for congers in the monster hole. Returning home, a great eel on my shoulder, his head flapping down in front, his tail sweeping the ground behind, I met a fisherman of my acquaintance. I began a tale of an immense conger, 3 times larger than the one I carried, that had broken my line and escaped. "That was him," said the fisherman. "Did you ever hear how he made my brother emigrate? My brother was a diver, you know, and grubbed stones for the harbour board. One day the beast comes up to him and says, 'What are you after?' 'Stones, sure,' says he. 'Don't you think you had better be going?' 'Yes, sir,' says he. And that's why my brother emigrated. The people said it was because he got poor, but that's not true. It turns out that it was, in fact, because he met a monster in the water. You will make no terms with the spirits of fire and earth and air and water. You have made the darkness your enemy. We exchange civilities with the world beyond. And I love that concluding sentence. When he says you, he's talking about the Scottish. When he says we, he's talking about the Irish. We exchange civilities with the world beyond. Which is another way, I think, of putting this. We remain on friendly terms, respect, for fear that should we disrespect them, that something bad should happen. Yeah. Knock twice upon a stave and spin left twice, says Michael, which is a folk cure for what? Mentioning the F word, or for encountering a water monster? Rothio is saying, I was trying to translate it into English. In crafts and arts, sometimes a dark polish is used to enhance some details on the paintings and sculptures. It goes into the edges and the rest is cleaned away with a wipe. I know it is as patina in Spanish. I don't know if he referred to that in his text. No, he did not. When we say the word patina, we're talking about how a metal, a jewel, or, like this bronze pendant made for me by Tom King, based on the megalithic art of Fornox, it gets worn as it brushes against clothes and other things, and it has a patina on it. Sorry, but I must say that this is not the Scotland I grew up in, and I wouldn't like the two to think that we Scots are so much different from the Irish. I wouldn't have thought so either. And I think that Yeats is probably exaggerating certain stereotypes, and only probably around the most devout of the Protestants, as it were, who would have looked, some of them would have looked upon all of this fairy lore as something dark and evil. Yeah, I think he's generalizing, and I think he's stereotyping, and he's probably being a bit unfair. So yeah, thank you for defending the Scots and the honor of the Scots, who are, more than any other nation of people, very, very like the Irish. And of course, we share not only a lot of DNA, but we share a lot of myth and folklore and similar landscapes, and a lot of shared history as well. There you go, Monica. No, they're not so different. I met so many nice people in Scotland and in Ireland. Exactly. Lily is saying patina also relates to wood. Aha, okay. But I know the technique that you're talking about, Rothia, when you talk about that the black goes into the grooves and then they polish the surface and it sort of highlights it. I think they also do that, like in headstones, where they paint black into the lettering, but then they wipe the surface, so the writing is really highlighted, as it were. Anyway, a big apology to any of our Scottish friends who are watching and thinking that I have just not satirized, what's the word, slanderized them. I certainly did not mean to do that, and I'm merely repeating Mr. Yeats's words, and it turns out that Mr. Yeats, as I say, was probably overgeneralizing and stereotyping. He had probably encountered one or two Scottish people who were not that friendly disposed towards the other folk. Rothio points out, yes, indeed, they've been having an alliance since Cuchulainn and Scáthach. Yes, indeed. This short chapter, written in 1902, is called War. So you see, we had the Golden Age, 3 words. Now we have war. And the previous story was a remonstrance with Scotsmen for having soured the disposition of their ghosts and fairies. When there was a rumour of war with France a while ago, I met a poor Sligo woman, a soldier's widow, that I know, and I read her a sentence out of a letter I had just I just had from London. Quote, the people here are mad for war, but France seems inclined to take things peacefully, unquote, or some like sentence. Her mind ran a good deal on war, which she imagined partly from what she had heard from soldiers and partly from tradition of the rebellion of 98. Of course, 1798, I believe, is the one being referred to. But the word London doubled her interest, for she knew there were a great many people in London, and she herself had once lived in a congested district. There are too many over one another in London. They're getting tired of the world. It is killed they want to be. It will be no matter, but sure the French want nothing but peace and quietness. The people here don't mind the war coming. They could not be worse than they are. They may as well die soldierly before God. Sure, they will get quarters in heaven, unquote. Then she began to say that it would be a hard thing to see children tossed about on bayonets, and I knew her mind was running on traditions of the Great Rebellion. She said presently, I never knew a man that was in a battle that liked to speak of it after. They'd sooner be throwing hay down from a hayrick. She told me how she and her neighbours used to be sitting over the fire when she was a girl, talking of the war that was coming. And now she was afraid it was coming again, for she had dreamed that all the bay was stranded and covered with seaweed. I asked her if it was in the Fenian times that she had been so much afraid of war coming, but she cried out, never had I such fun and pleasure as in the Fenian times. I was in a house where some of the officials used to be staying, and in the daytime I would be walking after the soldiers' band, and at night I'd be going down to the end of the garden watching a soldier with his red coat on him, drilling the Fenians in the field behind the house. One night the boys tied the liver of an old horse that had been dead for 3 weeks to the knocker, and I found it when I opened the door in the morning. And wow, they're not sure they quite play those kind of tricks on people these days. And presently our talk of war shifted, as it had a way of doing, to the Battle of the Black Pig, which seems to her a battle between Ireland and England, but to me an Armageddon which shall quench all things in the ancestral darkness again, and from this to sayings about war and vengeance. Do you know, she said, what the curse of the forefathers is? They put the man-child on the spear, and somebody said to them, you will be cursed in the 4th generation after you, and that is why disease or anything always comes in the 4th generation. There you go. Brad M has joined us and is wishing us fairy she greetings. You're very welcome, Brad, and thank you. I hope you are in good form. Mr. Murphy did not just diss the Scots. I was reading Mr. Yeats's words. It was clearly he who dissed the Scots. But like that, I'm sure there's a few Irish men and women over the years who have done likewise. Not diss the Scots, I mean, spoken ill of the good people. Not a good idea. And Scott Doherty, I'm way late. I lost track of time while I was cleaning my stove/oven. Did I miss anything? Yeah, well, you've missed 3 short stories so far, Anne. But not to worry, as I keep saying, for various reasons, people miss episodes or are late or have to leave early. And it's all going to be viewable again. Elaine is here. Desiree, she is in the county of Mayo in the west of Ireland, where it is cold, wet and windy. And I don't think she's enjoying it that much. But she's definitely watching. She said hello earlier on. This one is called The Queen and the Fool. Allow me to take a sip of 7-Up. It's definitely not what it says on the can, by the way. How are you supposed to believe me? Well, you just have to take my word for it, won't you? Shocking. It is only soft drink. The Queen and the Fool. I have heard one Herne, Heorne, a witch doctor, who is on the border of Clare and Galway, say that in every household of fairy, quote, there is a queen and a fool, unquote, and that if you are touched by either, you will never recover, though you may from the touch of any other in fairy. He said of the fool that he was maybe the wisest of all, and spoke of him as dressed like one of the mummers that used to be going about the country. Wow. Since then, a friend has gathered me some few stories of him, and I've heard that he is known too in the Highlands. I remember seeing a long, lank, ragged man sitting by the hearth in the cottage of an old miller, not far from where I am now writing, and being told that he was a fool. And I find from the stories that my friend has gathered that he is believed to go to fairy in his sleep. But whether he becomes an Amadon na Brena, a fool of the fourth, as is attached to a household there, and is attached to a household there, I cannot tell. It was an old woman that I know well, and who has been in fairy herself, that spoke of him. She said, quote, there are fools amongst them, and the fools we see, like that Amadon of Ballylee, go away with them at night. And so do the woman fools that we call Uisneachs, Unshocks, Oinseachs, which is apparently translated as apes. A woman who is related, close quote, a woman who is related to the witch doctor on the border of Clare and who can cure people and cattle by spells, said, there are some cures I can't do. I can't help anyone that has got a stroke from the queen or the fool of the fourth. I knew of a woman that saw the queen one time, and she looked like any Christian. I have never heard of any that saw the fool, but one woman that was walking near Gort, and she called out, there's the fool of the fourth coming after me. So her friends that were with her called out, though they could see nothing, and I suppose he went away at that, for she got no harm. He was like a big, strong man, she said, and half naked, and that is all she said about him. I have never seen any myself, but I am a cousin of hern, and my uncle was away 21 years. The wife of the old miller said, it is said they are mostly good neighbours, but the stroke of the fool is what there is no cure for. Anyone that gets that is gone. The Amadon na Brena, we call him. And an old woman who lives in the bog of Kiltartan and is very poor said, quote, it is true enough. There is no cure for the stroke of the Amadon na Brena. There was an old woman I knew long ago. He had a tape, and he could tell, stop reading words into it that aren't there, Anthony. And he could tell what diseases you had with measuring you, and he knew many things. And he said to me one time, quote, what month of the year is the worst? Unquote. I don't need to say the quotes, do I? And I said, the month of May, of course. It is not, he said, but the month of June, for that's the month that the Amadon gives his stroke. They say he looks like any other man, but he's lahan, wide, and not smart. I knew a boy one time got a great fright, for a lamb looked over the wall at him with a beard on it, and he knew it was the Amadon, for it was the month of June. And they brought him to that man I was telling about that had the tape. And when he saw him, he said, send for the priest and get a mass said over him. And so they did. And what would you say, but he's living yet and has a family. A certain Regan said, they, the other sort of people, might be passing you close here and they might touch you. But any that gets the touch of the Amadon na Brena is done for. It's true enough that it's in the month of June he's most likely to give the touch. I knew one that got it, and he told me about it himself. He was a boy I knew well, and he told me that one night a gentleman came to him that had been his landlord, and that was dead. And he told him to come along with him, for he wanted him to fight another man. And when he went, he found two great troops of them, and the other troop had a living man with them too. Pardon me. Oh, I apologize. Now I've started. And and he was to fight him. And they had a great fight, and he got the better of the other man. And then the troop on his side gave a great shout, and he was left home again. But about 3 years after that, he was cutting bushes in a wood, and he saw the Amadon coming at him. He had a big vessel in his arms, and it was shining, so that the boy could see nothing else. But he put it behind his back then and came running. And the boy said he looked wild and wide, like the side of the hill. And the boy ran, and he threw the vessel after him, and it broke with a great noise. And whatever came out of it, his head was gone there and then. He lived for a while after, and used to tell us many things, but his wits were gone. He thought they mightn't have liked him to beat the other man, and he used to be afraid something would come on him. And an old woman in a Galway workhouse, who had some little knowledge of Queen Maeve, said the other day, the Amadon na Brianna changes his shape every 2 days. Sometimes he comes like a youngster, and then he'll come like the worst of beasts, trying to give the touch that he used to be. I heard it said of late he was shot, but I think myself it would be hard to shoot him. I knew a man who was trying to bring before his mind's eye the image of Aengus, the old Irish god of love and poetry and ecstasy, who changed 4 of his kisses into birds, and suddenly the image of a man with a cap and bells rushed before his mind's eye, and grew vivid and spoke, and called itself Aengus Messenger, or Aengus's Messenger. And I knew another man, a truly great seer, who saw a white fool in a visionary garden, where there was a tree with peacock's feathers instead of leaves, and flowers that opened to show little human faces, when the white fool had touched them with his coxcomb. Coxcomb. What is a coxcomb? And he saw it at another time a white fool sitting by a pool and smiling and watching the images of many fair women floating up from the pool. What else can death be but the beginning of wisdom and power and beauty? And foolishness may be a kind of death. I cannot think it wonderful that many should see a fool with a shining vessel of some enchantment or wisdom, or dream too powerful for mortal brains in every household of them. It is natural, too, that there should be a queen to every household of them, and that one should hear little of their kings, for women come more easily than men to that wisdom which ancient peoples, and all wild peoples even now, think the only wisdom. The self, which is the foundation of our knowledge, is broken in pieces by foolishness, and is forgotten in the sudden emotions of women, and therefore fools may get, and women do get of a certainty, glimpses of much that sanctity finds at the end of its painful journey. The man who saw the white fool said of a certain woman, not a peasant woman, "If I had her power of vision, I would know all the wisdom of the gods, and her visions do not interest her." And I know of another woman, also not a peasant woman, who would pass in sleep into countries of an unearthly beauty, and who never cared for anything but to be busy about her house and her children, and presently an herb doctor cured her, as he called it. Wisdom and beauty and power may sometimes, as I think, come to those who die every day they live, though their dying may not be like the dying Shakespeare spoke of. There is a war between the living and the dead, and the Irish stories keep harping upon it. They will have it that when the potatoes or the wheat or any other of the fruits of the earth decay, they ripen in fairy, and that our dreams lose their wisdom when the sap rises in the trees, and that our dreams can make the trees wither, and that one hears the bleating of the lambs of fairy in November, and that blind eyes can see more than other eyes. Because the soul always believes in these, or in the like things. Excuse me. The cell and the wilderness shall never be long empty, or lovers come into the world who will not understand the verse. Heardst thou not sweet words among that heaven resounding minstrelsy? Heardst thou not that those who die awake in a world of ecstasy? How love when limbs are interwoven, and sleep when the night of life is cloven, and thought to the world's dim boundaries clinging, and music when one's beloved is singing, is death. I'll go shin. Fascinating stuff. And I will leave the reading there for the moment. I shall certainly take questions and comments. Now, let me just scroll back and have a read through, because there's been a few comments since I last paused for. We had a pig war in Washington State in 1859, says Amanda June. Air was a small confrontation between the Americans and the UK. It all started over a dispute about pigs. Wow. Fascinating. A different kind of Boer war. Get it? Boer. Never mind. Anyway, Monica thinks it's funny, but I'm pretty sure she's laughing at something else and not what I just said. Yes, Elaine is telling Jazeera, I'm here in a cold, rainy, windy County Mayo. Please, I want to go back home to Texas. No, you don't. You love Ireland, even if it is wet, cold, and windy. Ivania Lee says, Marina, good morning, good morning. Hello and good morning, Marina, to our good friends in Aotearoa. Ivania, always a pleasure, particularly because you are literally on the other side of the world. It is Tuesday in New Zealand, folks. Happy Tuesday morning to Ivania from all of us who are in Monday, whether it's night, evening, or afternoon. We greet you very cheerfully and send all our happiest greetings and blessings. I almost don't dare to say, says Monica. All the fresh air of Uisneach today has made me tired. That I had 3 weeks with nice warm weather in Ireland, end of April to mid-May. Not that long ago, we had a really nice spell of weather. Swam in the Atlantic every day. But home now, we had 30 degrees first and now cool with heavy thunderstorms. Eek. Michael Pike is saying, putting your own words in is great crack. I'm glad you've been enjoying that aspect of it, Michael. Lynn Murphy is saying hello, good evening to Lynn, who is watching on YouTube. I have Yeats's poems for children here, says Monica, like Stolen Child and more. Never tell them to a child, or you'll have you'll have a child awake all night. I know, right? I agree. Some things are best not recited to children. There's a type of story that's good for getting them to sleep, and there's a type of story that's good for giving them nightmares. Not sure Yeats is the kind of stuff you'd want to be reading, but anyway. There's an Michael Pike says, Old English, a jester's cap adorned with a strip of red. And McCallum tells us there's an awesome double statue in Scotland titled The Kelpies. Each of the two horse heads are about 100 feet high. It was completed in 2013. Oh, yeah, I have to see that. The Kelpies sculpture, the Helix Grangemouth Falkirk. I do know it. I have seen these horses' heads. Wow, they're fabulous, aren't they? Type that into Google Images, folks. The Kelpies, to see what Monica is telling, or Anne is telling us about. Absolutely fabulous. Thanks for reminding us about those, Anne. Isn't a concomitant or coxcomb, I think is what I said, a flowering plant, a name for a cocktail comb? And stop not to rooster. Coxcomb, yeah, it probably is. Coxcomb, archaic, a vain and conceited man, or a variant spelling of coxcomb, Cockscomb. I can already hear a couple of you. Don't even go there. It's got nothing to do with modern male grooming of certain parts. Right? Enough of that. Coxcomb, also known as Celosia, is a plant species belonging to the amaranth family. Yes. An upright branching perennial to 60 centimeters, usually grown as an annual. Yeah, so you can also Google images that coxcomb, and you can see what kind of flower that is. Yes, thank you, Lily. You were there ahead of me, actually, as it happens. I'm impressed, Mr. Anthony. You have lasted longer than I thought you would tonight after your long day. Yeah, I know, but sure, come here. When you lead tours of ancient sacred sites, such as the Hill of Uisneach, it's kind of hard to explain, but there's an energy about those sites. It gives you now. Yes, I'm tired physically, but mentally, actually, I feel vibrantly alive this evening. It's especially nice because the participants in my tours, with one or two exceptions over the years, I'm talking to hundreds and hundreds of people, they're always lovely people, and they're always really interested. And there's lots of nice interactions, and they ask lots of great questions during and after, Grace Walker is saying, I'm late. I'm in the black book. Peace to all. Yes, Grace, you are very late considering we're just about to finish. But I will say that I have put away the black book. I consider it an archaic punishment, reminding me of my early school days, when some of the teachers and headmasters back then were a little bit more strict than they are today. Let's just put it this way. They were still hitting children back then, something that's completely not allowed today. What was the name of the flower again? Coxcomb. So I'll actually paste it in as a comment so that you can see it. It's all one word, Cockscomb. And yes, nothing to do with, we don't even need to go there. No, not at all, says Monica. Yeah, coxcomb. Yeah, what was he saying about the coxcomb? I have to rewind there now because I've forgotten already. Let me just quickly find it, or slowly, as the case may be. Of course, I can't find it immediately, so I have to do a quick speed read of the page. How far back was it is the next question. Yeah, there we go. I'll just read that paragraph again, just so we get the context. Why are people, just in case you've just joined us or you're watching this back as a video later on, and you're wondering, why are people asking about coxcomb and what is it? And I knew another man, a truly great seer, who saw a white fool in a visionary garden where there was a tree with peacock's feathers instead of leaves, and flowers that opened to show little human faces, when the white fool had touched them with his coxcomb. Wow. Fascinating stuff. Yeah. Makes you wonder, though, sometimes. I mean, some of these folk tales are so fantastic that it does make you wonder whether sometimes people had visions after maybe consuming a few of the local mushrooms. And I'm kind of half kidding and half serious with that, you know. I'll be flying into Dublin this Wednesday for a 3-week honeymoon. This will be my wife Linda's first visit to the Emerald Isle. I look forward to meeting her. Johnny, hopefully we'll get a chance to meet up while you're here. Brilliant stuff. Safe travels. And delighted to hear that you are coming this way. I think you did mention that we might get a chance to meet up. But anyway, even if we don't, have a safe safe travels, and yeah, have a fabulous time in Ireland. I hope you've saved enough physical energy to put the bins out. Well, thank you for the reminder, Lily. Yes, I think I should be able to manage that before collapsing into the bed. Yeah, I wonder whether I have time and energy to do a little bit more work, but we'll see. We will see. Anyway, just to say, in terms of forthcoming tours, the Mythical Ireland regular tour of Newgrange Farm Archaeological Park, which includes a visit to Newgrange. And by the way, lots of people are having trouble booking Newgrange because it's booked out. Remember, we automatically have a slot with Newgrange. So if you can't book, if you're looking to get to Newgrange during the summer and you can't get in because it's booked out, book a ticket on the Newgrange Farm Tour. Anyway, I'm sharing the link to that just in case you want the direct link to get into it. Dublin is a grand city, so much to do and see. Michael Pike is not wrong about that, considering by European and international standards, it's not a big city. It's a very busy little city, you know. Michael Pike, thank you very much indeed, sir. Yes, indeed. And I'm reminded that Johnny Wilson is also a Mythical Ireland patron. Thank you very much to all the patrons for your ongoing support. Yeah, at this stage, it's either I finish the live stream, go and put the bins out, and try and get some sleep, or if you wish, I will continue live streaming and I will fall asleep here in front of you so you can hear what my silly snoring sounds like. I have a little neck cushion, so this is entirely between you lot and me. Nobody is to be told about this. This is a secret, right? An absolute secret. I have a little wee neck cushion, and if I unclip the chair and let it recline, this can be quite a comfortable snoozing position, and it has happened on more than a few occasions, I can tell you. So, I mean, if you want to chat away in the chat there and keep up the conversation, I'm perfectly happy just to kind of lean back here and doze off into my little snooze world. The only thing I'd be worried about is that I would say something embarrassing in my sleep, or that I would snore like a ridiculously funny animal of some kind. But anyway, that I'm not going to do. Don't worry. Thank you, Desiree. Glad you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for your time. Kind sir, take care, one and all. Thank you, Lily. And the same right back to you. I mean, thank you for reminding me, says Great. No, thank you. Sorry, what was that? I missed that because it's disappeared from... Oh, there we go. Thank you for reminding me. I have to do that here stateside tonight. Thank you. Got to get the garbage bins. Well, you see, the thing is that there are 6 of us who live in this household, and the bins tend to be full and they need to be collected. And if they don't get collected, we suddenly have a refuse problem, you know. So I will not refuse to put out the refuse. Yes, indeed. Very important task. I didn't manage to get to the Newgrange Farm Tour. I got stuck playing in a session near Sligo the night before until 1:30. Yeah, that's no excuse. You could easily have gotten up and had a breakfast and gotten on the road and been... no, you couldn't. I'm joking, of course. What a brilliant excuse for missing a Newgrange tour with Mythical Ireland. I was at a session in Sligo and it went on till the wee hours. Absolutely brilliant. That is the most Irish excuse ever, Monica. You can consider yourself one of us now. Enjoyed this evening. The rain eased for a while, but now it's back with one of them there vengeance of things. Take care, everyone. Yeah, all I can say is stay dry, stay indoors. Enjoy your evening, Alan. Always a pleasure. I promise to rewatch later, says Grace. Brilliant. Well, I hope you enjoy it. And it'll put some context maybe on one or two of the things that are being said now. Adina Sparks, you're very welcome. Good stories. Thank you for another great episode. Have a safe week, everyone. Absolutely 100% agree with that. Many good blessings and wishes to you all. Another live stream that I watched accidentally went live when nobody was there for hours and hours. Wow. Did anything interesting happen? Or was it just literally a blank screen for hours? Did you watch it for hours and hours, seeing nothing of interest? Yeah, fascinating stuff. Yes. There you go. Also, Barbara Murphy, thank you. And indeed, we will do our best. Sleeping torque. Yeah, a torque, yes. Maybe neck cushions are designed around the early medieval gold Irish torques. Who knows, you know? We haven't heard many dad jokes today. And I think what Rex is saying is, in fact, that we haven't heard any dad jokes. So let me see if I can rustle up one or two before we go. As in, wow, it's been kind of a... one that was shared with me by Caitlin Moon, who isn't on the stream this week. The worst pub I've ever been in was called The Fiddle. It was a vile inn. I like that one. I thought that was funny. Doctor says to patient, "What is the problem?" And he says, "I have a problem with my ear." And she says, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Yes, I'm definite." Oh, yeah. My wife sent me a sweet text that read, "If you're sleeping, send me your dreams. If you're laughing, send me your smile. If you're crying, send me your tears. I love you." I replied, "I'm on the toilet. Please advise." I can't. I'm sorry. I just simply cannot help laughing at that. I do think it's brilliant. Anyway, there we leave it for this week. Thank you very much. I'm going to put the bins out while it's not absolutely teeming down. And I hope to see you all again next week. In the meantime, check out the website. Subscribe to the emails. Please become a patron. And yeah, that podcast. I'm thinking at this stage, because the script is taking so long to write, I think I might just be better off doing it off the cuff and not scripting it. So we'll see. Anyway, all that remains for me to say at this point is Ichawa Kolosov, Slán go fóil agus tó go bogé. That last one's very important. It means take it easy. Good night, an bóthar live. Ó cardja go léir ar fud na